I have no idea what the sound is going to be like for this. We're stuck in a transit van. We've been in this transit van for... How long have we been in this van for, Mike?
We got this van at 8 AM this morning. It's now 7:36, and we've been out the van for a total of about an hour and 20 minutes, including going for a pee and getting some stuff.
I'm tired, people. I'm tired. I can't share this, so if you happen to be watching this, and I can see that currently nobody's watching this, let me know how the sound is, and share it on social media, because that's a good thing. So, we are driving from Scotland to England, then from England to Scotland.
We've done the Scotland to England. I've been holding my breath since we put over the border.
Yes.
We're now approaching Birmingham.
Birmingham.
We're near Birmingham.
Anyone in from Birmingham?
Brummy.
We went down to England to pick up a new instrument. For me, I bought myself a vintage instrument. And I wanted to go and get it in person. More future.
Aha.
But yeah, we just wanted to...
You keep my secret that you bought a xylophone? Fuck!
Tribe Shift says the sound is okay. Good.
Thank you for joining us. It's been long overdue.
Yeah, like obviously we need to apologise to you guys. Mike went away for the party cannon tour
Forever.
Yeah, and it was a really difficult and interesting time for us doing the podcast. COVID's been obviously really hard for everybody. We've been exhausted trying to get you a podcast every single week, and we're really struggling with things to talk about, struggling to stay motivated.
Even to try and make the time some weeks, because I've had quite a few changes. I'm sure anybody that's listened to the podcast for any time in the last 4 years will be sick of hearing shit changes for me almost every week. There's always some other fucking stupid crisis going on.
Yeah.
But it's been interesting. Everybody's getting through it. Nothing too bad.
Sure, we're alive. We're well. We're not going to do the creative differences as a way of saying we hate each other.
Mike actually died. This is his reanimated corpse.
Yeah.
7.
So yeah, you know, Mike went away and did the US tour. You had fun?
It was fucking great. Shout out to the Wormhole and Flub Boys because they were the best guys ever.
Yeah. And while he was away, I launched weekly guided practice routines over on my Patreon page, which have been really well received. Some of you guys out there might be participating in those. Move this. There we go. Some of you guys might have seen some of my weekly guided practice routines. They were really well received. The reality of the situation is, guys, the Guitar Souls is fun, but it's also a lot of work. It is a lot of work. There's no avoiding that it's a lot of work. The Guitar Souls always takes up about 4 hours of a week for me every single week.
At least.
That's like 10% of a week, you know, a job.
Your working week, yep.
For people. And it was becoming harder and harder for me to justify putting that time in when it wasn't picking up in the way it should, you know. And the weekly guided practice routines, when I launched those, you know, I had over 100 of you guys sign up for those in the first month. And yet when we launched Buy Me a Coffee for Guitar Souls, it wasn't popular. So I just needed to kind of reprioritise a lot of my time to do things that were paying bills, unfortunately.
That's not to say the Guitar Souls is dead entirely.
No, definitely not.
Just smells a bit funny, like punk.
Yeah, and initially when I had a conversation with Mike, the conversation was, I'm kind of done with this. I've not got the energy to keep doing this, mate. But the more I thought about it, and the more I talked to some people about it, they said, what about, you know, like semi-occasional episodes, doing some holiday episodes and things like that. If anything dramatic happens on the guitar scene, maybe you could hook up and talk about it. And I'm totally up for that. And when I put that to Mike, he was also totally up for that. So we've not gone anywhere. We just want to, I would say, I don't want to speak for Mike, but if we're bringing you a show, we want it to be for a good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Andrew said, why not just less often? That's exactly what it is.
As Levi put it, like we're not just we will read the news or we will read metal sucks out to you every week. Because that's no fun for anybody. Like, it's alright filming the episodes, you and I can have a laugh about it, but there's only so much that's going to, so far that's going to get, and it's quite lazy on our part. I'd rather we're having conversations about fun things, interacting with people who actually are interested in the podcast, that kind of stuff. So semi-occasionally, might be quite often, might be a month or two apart, do as much as we can, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Hey Dominic. And I'm not going to lie, guys, we've missed you. It was always fun doing the podcast, and it's always fun engaging with you guys in the live chat. And I do, there's definitely elements of me that is missing that, but also at the same time, put in 4 hours just to have that happen every week. It was just getting harder and harder to make that happen. When when you got back from tour, and we talked about like taking an extended break on the podcast, we did say we were going to do an episode. We were like, well, we'll get an episode in this week, just so we can update everybody, so we can, so everybody knows what the deal is.
That wasn't just a conversation, that was an intent.
Yes,
but it didn't quite plan out, did it?
Yeah, and when did you get back from tour?
April? No? May?
May.
End of May? Start of May?
So it's been 2 months. And it's not that we haven't seen each other. Like,
no, mid-April, sorry, so even worse.
We've not moved apart, like we still live near each other, we still see each other and things. In fact, we played a gig together on Saturday night.
And I didn't play any party cannon riffs.
No party cannon riffs.
Levi didn't even play any party cannon riffs.
Levi can't play any party cannon riffs. We had Mike come in and play bass with my 4-piece soul band, the Saturn Struts, and he did a killer job.
Thank you. I think people who get into the pub were probably a bit confused seeing this big hairy guy with his nose pierced playing a dingwall for a fucking soul band.
Playing Aretha Franklin tunes on a 5-string dingwall.
Having fun.
Yeah.
Post CD3.
That was great. So like,
nice.
It's not that we haven't seen each other, but I think it's that same thing. It's like, oh, okay, well, we need to get a podcast in. Well, in order for us to do that, we need to put aside multiple hours to sit down and have a conversation. Then I need to edit it all and render it and upload it. And just having a break is nice, I think.
I feel a bit more refreshed.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for Mike, but definitely for me, I didn't think that I needed a break from it, but so still very much here. And if you're engaging on the Discord server, I still have a Discord server, guys. I did actually announce on there that what was happening with the Guitar Source. So if you want to, stay active with things that are going on, don't kill us, Mike.
No, you're good.
If you want to stay active with things that are going on, there's the Discord server. So let's do some guitar news. What's happened?
Things and that. No, just before we move on, what I was going to say is, putting this to everybody who will join in or potentially watch this later, if your preference is live episodes, that's probably going to be better for us, because it means no real sitting about planning whatever else. Just fuck it, we'll just go with it and see how it goes.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Exactly, we'll just Bill O'Reilly the motherfucker. Tide goes in, tide comes out. You can't explain that. I'm afraid, Bill, we can. Lots of people can. You silly bastard. But aye, if that's...
Yeah.
I think it probably might work better for us, but I don't want to put that forward like, you're doing this for us and that's it.
Yeah.
Let us know.
I guess the other thing that I have to say, Dominic says live's just as good for him. I have to say...
Thanks, Dominic.
And I've kind of been saying this on the podcast for a while. I never wanted to... The last Rage Time video I did was the
Lucas Mann.
The Lucas Mann one, which was...
It wasn't even Lucas Mann, it was just, he was the example of...
He was the one that blew up in it.
Yes. He was also the one that put out his rebuttal, which wasn't really a rebuttal, that everybody was like, OMG, he's proven that he's not. Like, no, I said he's got files that he didn't release.
But I said at the time, at the start of that video, I said, like, I don't want to be known as that guy. I don't want to be known, I don't want this to be my legacy, because I'm more than this. Sure, a lot of those videos got a lot of traction, but, and I have a bad temper, and I can be animated, and I can hopefully make you laugh, and I hope it can entertain you when I shout about things. But at my core, I think I've got a lot more to offer as an educator, and I always have. Education has always been my thing. The Rage Time videos, they've never paid my bills, but my education and my ability to teach people has always paid my bills. And I'm good at it. And when I started doing more educational content on YouTube, people responded well to it. So I have to, unfortunately, I know this kind of hurts the guitar souls a little bit, but unfortunately I have to go with what people want. I have to. What the most people want. And sometimes on the guitar solos, I don't know if you feel this way, but there's very much an element of getting amped up about a subject, maybe for the sake of it.
Depends. In the earlier episodes, maybe even the mid episodes, kind of hundreds, you and I would have small conversations before we started to get ourselves kind of hyped up.
Yeah.
Come the end, I think it was more a genuine like reactions, because COVID mellowed us both out somehow. Maybe not even COVID, but just in general. But I get what you mean. Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's harder for me to get angry about stuff. I just, like, if I'm going to get angry about something on camera, I want it to be because I'm genuinely angry about it.
Yeah.
Not because I look at something and I'm like, oh, if I wanted to, I could probably, like, get quite angry about that. That feels really disingenuous. So I don't want to do that.
I think the best part being, if you get into any sort of conversation like that, naturally you will heat yourself up anyway. You can see you climbing and like you're escalating within yourself sometimes.
But I have to keep saying the same thing that I've said to you guys consistently for years. And we have been doing this podcast for years at this point, 4 years.
Mad.
Yeah. That's an influence. That's an education. Sorry, an entertainment influence. You know, if you looked back on my Patreon page when I first launched it, I talked about people that I supported on Patreon at the time. Oh, I'm blinded.
It's killer in here, isn't it?
I talked about people that I was influenced by and supported on Patreon at the time, and a couple of those would be Dick Masterson and Jim Sterling.
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of their shtick with their entertainment was getting angry about things. Dick Masterson, in particular, when he started the Dick Show podcast, the subject that he would bring people on to talk about is what makes you a rage. That was the subject of conversation, and so Rage Time literally came from that.
There's a lot of British TV that's responsible for that too. Room 101.
Yeah.
Why would you bin this? Why would you make this not exist?
So, what's with the van ride? We've been down to England, mate. We're just driving past Birmingham currently.
I think we should put a bit more context on that. We've driven since 8 AM this morning. We've been out the van for just over an hour.
Yeah.
The other part we didn't add, the van has no air conditioning and it's been 32 fucking degrees today. It's still 29 degrees at 10 to 8 at night. Yeah, it's pretty warm.
It's really hot.
Pretty warm.
What were we saying there? What were we saying before that?
Sorry to interrupt. Jim Sterling, Jim Position.
Yeah. So those were my influences. But I don't subscribe to those guys anymore, and I don't like that content anymore. I don't watch stuff like that anymore. And as I think it was Dominic a second ago in the comments pointed out, like he said, how dare you, mellow out as you mature as a person. And that's exactly what it is.
I haven't matured, I've mellowed.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I'm still a fucking idiot at
That
heart.
sun is in the worst possible place.
Yep.
Doesn't matter where I move that. So, guys, if you're watching this, can you, in the comment section, can you bring up what is going on here?
People are just driving like morons.
What speed are we down to? 40 miles an hour?
I'll tell you exactly what he's doing. He's texting. Wait. Before we even started this live podcast, we were both joking how I was going to be road raging. I didn't even open my mouth and you were shouting at that guy.
Because we're on a motorway, there's no one in front of him and he slowed down to 40 miles an hour.
He was sending a text message, I can almost guarantee it. He's driving an all blacked out BMW coupe. It's got twin exhausts, probably a 3 litre, maybe bigger.
So,
thinks he's a race driver.
For anyone that is watching, help us out right now.
Send us £1 million each.
Yeah, but that would be really helpful.
Tax free.
Can you? It's never tax free. Can you send us not questions, but questions like anything that's happened in the guitar scene over the last fucking 4 months?
And while you're doing that, I'll give the guys a quick rundown of how America was.
Yeah.
So, TLDR, too long didn't read. America was fucking banging. It was really banging. So, we were incredibly lucky to get to tour with the guys from Flub and from Wormhole. Guys from Flub are all from, I want to say Cali. And the guys from Wormhole are from Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland. So we flew into New York. We made our way down to, where did we get Craig? New York? Can't remember. Anyway, picked up all the members. We're supposed to play in Baltimore the first gig, the first night. Martin, the drummer, got to the airport, got on the plane, got on the runway, and then the plane got cancelled because there was a fuel leak. So Martin didn't make it for another day afterwards, which had all of us shitting our pants whether this was actually going to happen. That's like the worst time for something to go wrong, because there's no contingency planning when you are at that moment.
Yeah.
The best we could do is, here's hoping we don't have to travel across America for 2 weeks with no drummer. 2.5 weeks. Martin got put up in a hotel that night, and on the plane the next day. We picked him up on the way. Thank fuck for that. And managed to get on the road. So we only missed one gig, which was a pain in the ass. Could have been a lot worse. In fact, that's not true. We didn't pick him up. He got a 2-hour Uber to where we were, which was a bit of saving in itself, man. Saved us having to drive out the way. The rest of the tour was just ridiculous. Like, for the minute we met the flub guys and the wormhole guys, it was just going like a house on fire. Everybody had the same mentality of having fun, but trying to be professional in the sense of, right, cool, loading in, let's get it done. Loading out, let's get it done. Setting up on stage, brilliant. Oh, you need help with the drums? I'll be up there now. Like, just a really good relationship between the bands, all on the same level. And it was just brilliant from the very first moment we're all hanging out. All the shows seem to be banging. Well, you kind of go with the contingency of, if half the tour's good and half the tour's bad, then you've averaged out a fairly decent tour. There wasn't really a night that was bad at all. We had a great time. Every night there was people there, every night people were having fun. Wormhole blew the socks off me, Flub blew the socks off me. Like, loads of the bands who were local support and stuff were ridiculous as well. It was just all round a bit of a stupid trip in a good way. So there was a couple of times where it was like, these are the best stories, where you have a wee moment of like, am I living an American dream?
Timothy's just warned you, you're driving on the wrong side.
Ah! You're right. So we had one day off in the tour, a single day off, and we were in Florida. We had been lucky enough that the weather for the start of the tour was all super hot, but then we were heading into other climates where it was going to be a bit colder. We were heading up towards New York and stuff, and then it would start getting warm again. So we'd been and done Baltimore, Maryland, blah blah blah, and we were on our way to Florida. We had played, I want to say it was Jacksonville the night before, and we had a day off. So the idea was, we'll do a bit of a drive, we'll find a hotel, we'll chill out for the night, we'll just have a day off, maybe go to like Orlando, and we'll go to Disneyland or whatever, and go to the look and just be silly. The drummer from Wormhole, Matt, was like, well, we're going to go to my mum's, she stays in Sarasota, do you want to go there? And I'm sure that sounds really good.
Disney or someone's mum's.
No, so we're like, right, cool, I mean, at least we'll get somewhere to crash, we can chill out for a bit. We turned up, Matt's mum stayed in this unbelievably beautiful apartment, like full floor of a building was hers, on the waterfront at Sarasota. They had a private jetty, they had a pool, outdoor barbecue on the fucking balcony that went 3/4 of the building, like a dream pad. Shirley was an absolute queen, she was so wonderful to have us all, put us all up. We got there kind of during the day and everybody was frazzled because it was halfway through the tour, we'd been sleeping in floors and stuff.
Scott Gaylor's just coming. You met Scott the tour, didn't you?
Yes, Scotty boy, thanks for joining us. Scott's a fucking legend. Scott turned up in the bar. He run intermission for me when some crazy MILF would not leave me alone. No, not MILF, sorry. Some crazy old woman that worked at the bar would not leave me alone. He was drunk as shit and kept trying to grope me. But the best part is he turned up with a can of Monster for me, like, you need
Scott,
that.
you fucking cock block.
No, that's the best kind of cock block. Thank you very much. Scott and I stood outside the venue after the show talking shit for ages. I actually thought Scott was going to jump in the van with us, but no, it was great. So anyway, this day off in Sarasota, the idea was we're just going to chill in the house. And the guys are like, right, everybody put in $20. We're just going to go and buy hundreds of beer and hundreds of barbecue stuff, and we'll just have a barbecue on the balcony. Had that. I mean, that was a dream in itself.
Sorry, I do just need to chip in on this one because I know there's another story in here which you may skip over. You all chipped in for beer and barbecues and things.
Yep.
You also all collectively chipped in to get tattoos.
I didn't. So I'll explain that next. That was further in the tour. So
Mike has no interest in grab a granny.
if it's the right granny, maybe, but she wasn't a gilf. Too old, too ugly. Sorry, hen. No right. Plus, I think Nancy would probably batter me and her. So we had beers, food in the balcony, like burgers and hot dogs and some vegan food and stuff. It was absolutely minted. And then we started drinking, and then Matt's mum was like, oh, we've got spirits here, if you want other drinks there, it's gross. So everybody started just like having a really good time. It was like 10:30 at night, it was dark, we're on the waterfront, gorgeous weather, we're all in the private pool downstairs. We're going for a swim and I'm just like, I feel as if I'm in like a teen movie.
This is my life.
I'm like, what the fuck's going on here?
I'm just a scabby wee brat from Scotland, and I've flown over to America to play music for people. And
As you would say in Glasgow, I'm a toon goon.
and now I'm in a private pool in, sorry, what state were you in?
Sarasota.
That's not a state I've heard of.
I know it's not a state, Sarasota's a city I think, I'm not sure. But it was fucking minted. It was a great time. Continued the tour, obviously you're talking about the tattoos. That was...
Shy bag.
Where was that? That was Florida as well, wasn't it?
I hate the filter that it puts on your face. Like, what mag do I look? I was gonna say, I look really sunburned. Actually, it's entirely possible I'm just really sunburned.
Could be. I'm sure it was Fort Walton in Florida that was there. So when we had been driving through different states, we went to Buc-ee's, which, yes. So for those who don't know what Buc-ee's is, imagine a Costco, but also the biggest petrol station on earth. And they do this because we were going there during spring break, so you can imagine how busy it was with just families and young teens and young adults. It was like pandemonium. Anyway, the guys had loved Buc-ee's so much, they decided they were going to get matching tattoos. They didn't decide what they wanted until they got to Fort Walton, and they were like, yeah, we're all getting the Buc-ee's logo, fuck it. 6 or 7 of them got the tattoo done on their ankle, all with different coloured hats. They're banging, man. They're really cool. I didn't get one because I've not got any tattoos.
Can't believe you didn't do it.
Shite bag.
I hate getting tattooed. I know that sounds ridiculous for somebody with literal neck tattoos.
Yep.
And arms and legs covered in tattoos. I fucking hate it, but the opportunity to get tattooed with my mates. Well, there.
I think it would have been a really cool tattoo. It would have been game, but I just wasn't that bothered
I'd
about a
drive to a
Buc-ee's
tattoo
logo.
parlour right now and get a Guitar Souls tattoo with Mike.
Will we phone Graham?
Pressure's on, bitch.
Alright, Dixon. The problem is we know too many tattoo artists who would be like, I want that.
Oh, I'm sure we can find a wee scratcher in for sure.
Well, Lucy, she'll just turn up down at fucking Needle and Ink. Or George. So that was like the first half of the tour. Then we got to Fort Walton. There was one point, I'm pretty sure it was after Fort Walton, we were leaving Florida, and there was a tornado on way. It was 34 degrees maybe, humid as shit, and we'll run away from the tornado.
Really important question, Mike.
Do I believe in life after love?
No.
I can feel something inside me saying,
No, more important than that, right? So, Phil Cross, we missed this comment, Phil.
Philly! Hi, handsome!
He said 9 minutes ago, I've not finished yours yet, Levi, but does Mike want me to drop off his guitar at junction 16 in a bit? Or I'll wait to bring them both up? Do I get a guitar while we're on the way down? On the way home?
It's up to you, what do you think? Are we past junction?
Where are we?
21A? Phil, tell you what, no, we're going to wait because we're going to make an event of it. You're coming up, we're going to go for a meal and stuff.
Yeah, and then we can do one of these legendary intermittent Guitar Souls episodes with Phil.
A live unboxing, yep. Sorry Phil, you've chatted yourself into being in the team now, but it's a very gracious offer, thank you very much. I've been really patient so far, really patient, and I'm grateful to be patient for longer.
Motherfuckers, I specifically said to you, can you please comment with things that have happened on the guitar scene in the last 4 months that we've missed about that we can talk about. If you don't do that, we're going to be stuck listening to Mike talk about America. And you might be okay with that, but I've heard all these stories, fuckers. Carry on, Mike.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. So we survived probably the scariest drive of my life. 32 degrees at night. Probably the most humid place I've ever been on earth.
Craig Robinson
What
wants to know
Yep.
why are we doing karaoke?
Karaoke? Because I'm not James Gordon. That's carpool karaoke, isn't it? Oh, I will sing if you really want. Nobody wants that, but I will.
Timothy says, I can't believe I'm watching this live from Chicago.
Class. Love it. What time is it in
I
Chicago?
can't believe you live in Chicago and you've not got better things to be doing.
What time is it in Chicago at the
What
moment?
time is it in Chicago?
Like 2, 3 a.m. or is it back the way?
Did you get Chick-fil-A while you were out there?
The only fast food I didn't have when I was there, I think, we had Sheets, we had Wawa, we had fucking Five Guys, we had Wendy's. We didn't have a Water. Oh, that's the best story of the tour. We went to Whataburger.
Let me just throw this joke at you. Not joke, this gold one from Scott. I think he's talking about this granny, but this banger granny
Aye.
situation. He spelled thick fillet.
Thick fillet? Nice.
Oh no, sorry. He said ask Mike about thick fillet.
I think he's talking about Liam, who was playing bass for Flub, who's also the tour manager. Has hot pants. Yeah, he wore red hot pants the full tour. The full tour. I think the only time he changed them is when he bought Bucky's pink ones. If memory serves correctly.
Joel Adams says, talk about that dude that put tens of thousands of dollars worth of guitars on an old lady's credit card a few months ago. I mean, what can we say other than that's a bit of an asshole-ish thing to do?
Is that not the guy that was done for like embezzlement because he had like $110,000 of Gibsons and shit on the old woman's card through credit card fraud? That's a man who really should have been thinking, why am I buying Gibsons? Like, why? Even if it's somebody else's money, why?
Well, I guess on the Gibson front, they won in court against Dean, didn't they?
Did they win any significant thing?
It's wild when you really think about it, because from a legal perspective they won, but from Evan Rubinson, who's the CEO of Dean, from their perspective they lost. They might have won in a legal sense, but they were awarded, I believe, $800, something silly like that. They were suing for millions. Hey Craig, I'm good, mate. They were suing for millions, and they were awarded $800, or something to that effect, something just completely insignificant.
That's just...
It's a weird one, because I do obviously feel that they shouldn't have won that. But I guess losing that, Dean losing that, and having to pay $4,000 in damages total for 40 years of copyright infringement.
I think that probably says quite clearly how little Gibson protected their trademark.
Yeah, that was essentially the argument that the judge was making. It's like you've not really protected these. It's not really right to award you millions of dollars in damages because it's something that you let happen for 40 years.
Yep. Yeah. And you're only being frivolous with Dean because they've got the closest body shapes to you, and they already told you to fucking stick it.
Yeah, so I'm disappointed in that result. But I argued with someone on Facebook about it. I said from a moral perspective, from a legal perspective and moral perspective, I guess the letter of the law, Gibson won the lawsuit. But in terms of what they were seeking to achieve, they didn't win. They wanted millions of dollars in damages.
I think on top of that, the knock-on effect of their business, in terms of their public reputation, not that they've got much of a good one anyway, probably took a bit of a bad knock too. Think how many people, me certainly, like thinking about it, like I didn't want to buy a Gibson to start with, but when their only attitude towards other people having other guitars that are similar, or even if we're going to go by the lay of the land, using the trademarks that they own for all those time and have no effort towards it, and then all of a sudden be like, right, how do we quickly get money? Fuck those guys. I'm going to buy a Dean over a Gibson any day of the week, even if they're worse builds. I don't care.
Just checking online.
Or I'll buy a Heritage.
Yeah.
Remember Gibson were shitty with Heritage?
Yeah, I know there's some knock-on effects currently happening between Heritage and Gibson. So we'll see how that pans out. Yeah.
It's always fun, isn't it, man?
There's a new Megadeth single.
We have spoken about this already, just before we came on live stream.
I've not listened to it. There's a new Meshuggah album. I've not listened to it.
You did listen to Megadeth, did you not? Did you say you hadn't listened to it?
No, I haven't listened to it.
Right. Terrible thrash song.
I was kind of waiting for the full album.
Terrible thrash song. Cool solos for Kiko.
Of course.
Horrendous video. Put the lot of it. But, and I will say this, Megadeth have a real history of putting the worst songs out as their fucking singles.
Craig says new David Lee Roth. I have no idea.
I think he's probably past it.
It's funny because like the only reason I ever knew what was happening on the rock and metal scene, potentially even guitar scene, is because we were doing a podcast every week. So I had to go and look at the news.
We're fingers on the pulse to some degree.
But I don't see a lot of everything that's kind of going on because you're going to hate me for this, guys, but it will come as no surprise to you. My time over the last 4 months has been primarily focused on on piano practice,
touching his organ
and playing the organ. So I have an organ teacher now. I'm really engaged in that scene, and I'm more excited by that than anything guitar related. Okay, a few other comments that have come in.
Yes.
We have had Craig McCulloch has said thoughts on Kate Bush as number 1.
Alright, big handsome, well deserved, and also record breaking. She's the youngest and the oldest female to hold a number 1, and like some other fucking world records broken. Pretty cool.
Shame that it takes a TV show to do that.
I think, aye, okay, but it's at the same time, like it's got loads of people interested in Metallica too, apparently.
Sure. So I guess in that respect, I mean, I'm never going to complain about Kate Bush. You know, someone getting to sell records. That's good.
Yep.
So good on that. Scott says Nita quit Alice Cooper. That's news to me, Scott.
I didn't know that either. Did she not get sacked?
I don't know what the situation was.
No, I'm just speculating because she's fucking terrible.
It's alright, I'm sure.
My opinion.
I'm sure you can find an equally talented musician.
With breasts?
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of them. There's plenty of good female guitarists. It's just a shame that the one that got the job wasn't very good.
I can spoil this one now. I mean, I'll throw it in. Timothy, yes, an organ. I've been playing organ. In fact, the reason we drove down to England, in the van behind me, is a vintage 1960s Hammond C3 organ. And Leslie speaker.
And
a Hammond speaker.
And it was a fucking nightmare to lift.
Jesus Christ.
And we'll put that all down to Levi. Mister, 2 days will get it, no bother, but we don't need lifting straps, we don't need this, we don't need that. We went to this guy's house and it was in like
it would be fine.
Tiny room.
Fine. It's not fine.
Goodness me. I mean, we got it out. Obviously, I lifted it above my head with one hand and showed Levi up, but...
Yeah, if I didn't have Mike there to launch it through a window, we would have been in real trouble.
Honey, I shrunk the Hammond organ.
Yeah, that organ, when it goes in my studio, is never ever leaving, ever.
Until it's sold.
It can go, no, when I sell the house, the organ comes with the house.
Included in value.
Yeah, because that is just so heavy.
That's pretty ridiculous, man. But as you put it at the time, it wasn't all like necessarily just the weight that was the problem, it was the weight distribution, how awkward it is to move.
Well, Scott said that he just quit a few hours ago.
Alright, okay. I mean, what's she going to do now? Because certainly going to be instructional DVDs or lessons.
I can absolutely assure you she's not going to struggle to find work, is she?
But again, I'm just slagging her.
She's constantly falling into work because she's one of the best guitar players on the face of the planet.
What that's?
Don't you have ears, Mike? She's clearly incredibly talented.
I really wish I had cloth ears when she starts playing. Like, was it you and I that watched the clip of her playing at the start of like a WWE thing or something, walking something into the ring, and it's just absolutely dire.
Timothy said, my grandfather had that organ and speaker in the living room. I shook the whole house and round the windows. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing the same, mate, to be honest. Because there's nothing quite like it, is there? A Leslie speaker. It's cool. Dominic says maybe Jen Majura will replace Nita since she left her band recently.
She got kicked out, which was a bit of a shame for Evanescence, because apparently it came out of nowhere, just a fucking, right, bye, we're going to tour without you, like a few days before they were meant to go. That in my mind is really bad crack. Like, really bad crack. But I think on top of that, sad truth is, trying to be unbiased, there's maybe other things at play, because all we've heard is Jen Majura's side. Right? All I've heard is Jen Majura's side when I watched her video with Ola.
Sure. Scott has said Evan Robertson from Dean is starting a second ML company.
Oh,
which is interesting.
So is this going to be like as a spiritual successor of like the Dime guitars then?
Who knows? We'll see what happens.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I've missed getting the gossip. This is great. There's been a wee paradigm shift here. It's usually us telling you what's going on.
We're being informed of everything that's happening. It's fantastic.
Lovely, jubbly.
Keep it coming. Actually, we could, Scott, you could play a game with us here. You could list 3 things that have happened where 2 of them are true and 1 of them is a lie, and we have to guess which is true. Because Nita Strauss quitting Alice Cooper, Evan starting a second Dean ML company, and what else have we been told about? We've not been told about anything else yet.
We joked about Jen Majura though.
I probably would have assumed that Evan story is false. So I've seen lots of pictures of Andy James out on the road with
FFTP.
Five Finger Death Punch.
Yep.
And it's really hard to put into words how happy that makes me. You know what I mean?
He deserves it, man. I don't like the band, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to say, fuck me, the guy can play.
Sure.
And well done in getting such a ridiculous gig, man. Oh, aye.
Yeah. And because, I mean...
Respect the hustle.
Talking on Melissa's behalf here, right? But Melissa met a lot of musicians at music school. Was in a class with a lot of singers, and they were largely her friend group for a long time. Don't bug me. But what she's found consistently is she's the one with the hustle, and she's the one that's actually going out and doing things. She's the one putting on gigs. She's the one going to Abbey Road to master albums. And these people are just not really doing anything. And she's actually found herself in positions where, like, people that she considers some of her closest friends have said, had to put her, sit her down and be like, I've got to be really honest with you, Melissa. Like, I can't come to your gigs anymore because I can't deal with it. I'm struggling with handling you being successful while I'm not doing anything, and I can't fathom that. I don't know what that's like to have that sort of mentality, because Andy is...
It's like a self-imposed FOMO, isn't it?
Would I like to have the gig that Andy James has? Absolutely, but there's not a single part of me that would ever look at a friend that's achieving success in their dreams and feel anything other than unbelievable joy for them. You know?
I can maybe understand not being jealous but envious. I don't want to take that away from you, but I would love that.
Yeah.
But you're not going to take that out on your friends, surely.
Right, but saying like, I don't think I'm going to be able to come to any of your shows anymore because
it's a bizarre mindset.
Out.
It's a bit of mental gymnastics. I didn't put the work in to get where you are, so I can't support you anymore.
Yeah. Because
it reminds me how I failed. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think this might be our false news story. Dave Mustaine has been rehired by Metallica. I'd be more interested in Metallica if he had.
Is he taking over David Ellison?
Metallica have got a course out on musician.
Yes, I've seen it. You want to learn how to play with Metallica, you got to come and jam with Metallica. I'm not jamming with you, James. It's a pre-recorded video, mate.
Andy never played with Britney Spears.
You never what?
Someone said, I think it was Phil said, did Andy play for Britney Spears? Or did I just dream that?
Yeah, I bet playing for Britney Spears would be a fucking ridiculous gig. Is he maybe thinking, did you say Andy Wood played for Britney?
No.
No? But I'm sure you said somebody...
I don't know anyone's played for Britney.
Or somebody played for a big pop star anyway.
Andy was played for a fair few pop star countries.
That's what I mean, right?
He's moved out with Jessie J.
That's cool, man. Guthrie Govan was out with fucking, what do you call him? Not Tiny Temper, fucking...
Dizzy Rascal.
Dizzy Rascal.
Not really.
For a long time.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Is it not?
No, they did the prom show.
Right.
He didn't. He wasn't a touring member or anything like that.
I thought he was out with him on the road, man, because there was a couple of videos of him in like different places.
Promo for the proms.
Fair enough.
As far as I recall it. That came about because it was the Young Punks, wasn't it? He was doing a lot of stuff with the Young Punks at the time. Dizzy Rascal. He'd used some samples from like a sample library, and then when the prompts are like, how do you feel about putting a band together for this? He was like, where the fuck do I find a band? So he contacted the sample library and was like, who played these samples? And they put him in touch with the Young Punks in Town Guthrie. That's how that came about.
That's cool as shit. Yeah. I like that. That's badass.
The point is, yeah, good on Andy. Like that's fantastic. And yeah, never be that person. Never let your own jealousy overcome the success that other people have earned and deserve. Like, again, I think I'd be an asshole if Mike's going out on the road with Gua next month. Like that, I'd just be such an asshole if you'd be an asshole if you look at something like that and be like, oh, should have been me. You know what I mean?
I mean, if it had been the case that you and I had been competing and you had been working just as much as Patrick Cannon had been, or like you were going for the gig and I got it over you, I would maybe understand some residual feelings there. That maybe been an awkward spot, but not. I went to uni with you, we did the same course and had the same opportunities, but you worked harder and stuck at it, and I didn't. And now I can't support you because I regret not sticking at it.
Oh, but it's like, it's never too late. It's never too late to
never too much
things that you want to do. Go out and fucking do the things. If you've got a friend like that's going out and fucking doing things, that should drive you to do things too.
You know what? Case in point being, right? I'm not a bassist. You offered me to do this fucking gig with you. 3 sets, 45 minutes, 2 weeks notice. Fuck it.
No.
And a 4-piece where it was literally just you and I doing all the melody outside of Mel singing.
Yeah.
And
you did a great job. Really good job.
Appreciate it. But that was the mindset. It was like, you know what? The worst that fucking can happen is it's no very good, and I go, well, I'm not going to fill in again. At least I gave it a try. You don't get a bash, then where are you going to get?
It's never too late, people. It's never too late. I mean,
If I can play soul bass, anybody can do anything.
I'm 33 years old. 33 years old, and I've taken up the organ at the age of 33. You know,
He's finally started wanking.
It's never too late to do something you want to do. So fucking, life is far too fucking short to be miserable about the things you didn't do in it.
The wee reminders are nice
Don't
things
do
as
it.
well. To be fair, what you're saying there, like the example being what we're talking about before we went on live stream, when you were in, the chap let you hear the Hammond.
Yep.
He played a wee bit and you were like, I'm into that. And
fantastic.
then I think you just got on it and you were like, how it feels sometimes when you play somebody else's instrument and you're like, oh man, I don't want to be like.
Oh yeah, he played, and I wasn't joking when I was like, Jesus, I currently feel like what I imagine my students feel like, where I play something for them and then I ask them to play.
And you're
they're
put under the
suddenly
cosh.
really nervous. I'm like, you've been playing the Hammond organ for 40 years. Like, there's no way I'm playing Hammond organ in front of you after you've just played like that. You sound fantastic.
And then you started doing some walking bass lines, and the first thing the guy says is, oh, I fucking wish I had a left hand like that.
Yeah.
Never too late, just fucking do it. Shia LaBeouf, just fucking do it.
Just fucking do it. Yeah.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
John says, I was literally wondering what happened to the guitar solos. We're still here. We still love you all very dearly. I'll keep reiterating it. I won't do the whole spiel again. Like, the guitar solos is a job. It really is a job. It's a small job, but it's a job. It takes up 4 hours of my time every week. And I just found myself in a position where I needed to be using that 4 hours on things that were paying my bills, unfortunately.
But we're here.
Yes.
We're not going anywhere.
Still thinking about you guys all the time. And yeah, we'll keep doing shows. We'll do intermittent shows when there's things to talk about. Because also I hate the idea of doing shows where we're just trying to talk about things when there's nothing to really talk about. That's the worst.
The good thing about this is it's been such a time for us to catch up that we're getting quite a lot of comments and stuff, and even teasing it, like on Instagram or Facebook where Levi put the photo up, people were like, cool, we're down. So the reassurance we need.
Phil Cross says, we supported Unto Others earlier in the year.
Yep.
The next week they were supporting OPEF in the States. They played Stoke to 30 odd people.
That is how bands generally go, man. It's your luck. Sometimes you get a banger of a gig and your support's amazing. Sometimes.
This is one we should address. Timothy says, I think I would be starstruck if I saw you guys on the road going to work. Timothy, we are not stars, sir. We are general buffoons, just like you.
I think you would probably find, speak for myself, maybe not Levi, I would be more socially awkward than you would if you came up and said I really like the guitar solos. Because I really appreciate it, but I'm just, I don't know, man, I get imposter syndrome.
Yeah, and I'd be very awkward. People would miss, like I wouldn't know what to do. There are people in my life that I see on a semi-regular basis, like friends of friends, type things, acquaintances. Our pianist, his boyfriend, well, I'm not going to name the pianist or the boyfriend actually, but I've never had a conversation with the boyfriend, and it may now be at the point now where I'm considered rude. Actually, so I just don't know how to talk to people.
I didn't ask this man's name when I met him, and now I'm too afraid to ask.
I feel very uncomfortable hugging people, and you know what I mean? Like, that's me. So we're losers like you, Timothy. We love guitar, and we love music, and we love talking about music. Yeah, so we're doing our thing. Scott Gaylor says, Guitar Centre, and I know this one actually, Guitar Centre made all of their employees part-time now, no more full-time at the stores.
Am I right in thinking they also don't do commission anymore?
I would assume that will be part of that, yeah.
I think they really scaled back, which is really shitty. Did they not take like a big government subsidy not that long ago?
Probably.
To stop shutting down and whatever else and to protect workers' jobs? You can't really take all that money, make profits, then be like, well, fuck you guys. But
yeah, the only friends I have that work at Guitar Centre that have been there years doing the teaching thing, I was having a conversation with him just yesterday actually, and he said, yeah, I'm getting out of it because it's now no longer a consistent, reliable source of income, which is wild.
I think that
Timothy said, we're not losers, just crazy guitar dudes. Again, I'll reiterate this, Timothy. Today, we will have driven for about 15 hours so I can go and buy a Hammond organ. That's pretty much the pinnacle of being a loser.
I don't know about being a loser, maybe just being a bit too of an enthusiast.
Into autistic.
Whatever term you want to use, Levi, it's up to you, my man.
Guitar geeking up forever. It's actually Monday, isn't it? What are the chances? I didn't even think about that.
What? Did you not?
I genuinely didn't.
I was thinking that's a great coincidence.
If I ever meet Levi, I'll be sure to go on a drunken roll about Buckethead to win his heart.
You might end up in a podcast with him at some point. You never know. I'm not listening to Buckethead. That's a lie. I was listening to Buckethead recently. I found a page that does hundreds of really high quality Buckethead backing tracks. The majority of them I don't know the songs, but the ones that I do know, I spent a good 40-50 minutes pretending that I could play Buckethead stuff.
Dog.
That's me. I was learning Welcome to Buckethead Land, which I always thought was hammer-ons and tap-offs. Hammer-ons and pull-offs, sorry. But it's not. It's like chicken picked over 3 strings.
Sure. I'm Mike already knows this. Over the coming weeks and months on YouTube, I'm going to see Brad Paisley on Friday, which I'm very excited for. So I'm going to start doing with Brad Paisley what I was doing with Brad Paisley. Start putting solos, covers up, teaching all of Brad's solos. Because that's more achievable than playing Buckethead.
If you say so. I mean, learning all of Brad Paisley's back catalogue is definitely more impossible than learning Buckethead's, considering 1 year he put out 120 albums. There's no need. There's no need. And that's not even including the side projects that he put out under different monikers, because his record label wouldn't put more out. For example, Death Cube K, which is an anagram of Buckethead. Guys, prolific's the only word for it, but mental goes with that.
Phil says, are you going to stop, rest your phone on a tree and drink coffee a la Chapman?
You what, mate? We're going to...
Greetings!
Is this a thing that Rob Chapman did?
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
It's pretty size.
Stop it. Stop it right now.
I'm seeing Brad Paisley at the Hydro in Glasgow.
You forget that I'm driving, and that Hammond organ will go out the back doors if you keep mentioning Rob fucking Cockend, what his name is.
How's he getting on? I wonder how that is.
He's probably feigning some sort of fucking illness or ailment to hide for the public after being schooled multiple times and being a cock. Taking their money and running away. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That happened. Remember that thing that you all gave me money for that I was going to do? I'm not doing it, bye.
I mean, to be fair, we actually did that with Buy Me a Coffee.
No, Buy Me a Coffee shut, and we unfortunately took a bit of a hiatus. But
there were people that paid for a year on Buy Me a Coffee up front.
You deal with the admin, that's Levi's fault. I didn't steal Andy's money.
I mean, I hate to place this burden on you, Mike, but when I said we're not going to do the guitar solos anymore, or for a while, I took all the money that was in the accounts and I gave it to you.
You did. Not because I wanted it, not because I asked.
I stole your money.
I'm laughing all the way to the bank. No, I wish.
Dominic says, I see Gus G jamming with Rob as the first recommended video of this one. What a mismatch of talent that is. Yeah.
Gus G's a strange one, isn't he, man? He's got so much talent, and then Firewind didn't really go anywhere. Then he's playing with Ozzy, and nothing really exciting comes out from Ozzy while he's playing with him.
Because Ozzy was way past his prime.
I mean, obviously. He's been past his prime for a long time.
Phil says Chapman did Navigate this year to do cheap levels. He literally carried 2 guitars around the show to show people. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
I'd love to say respect the hustle, but fuck that guy. There's no time for him. Is he still involved with Andersons at all?
Yeah, well, because Lee Anderson owns half of Chapman.
Yeah. Oh, okay, right.
Maybe not half, but yeah.
Get what you mean. There's a vested interest in those brands staying together.
Lee Anderson has a signature. He has a signature Chapman.
Does he?
Yeah.
I don't know much about the Chapman guitar range, to be fair, so I'm probably talking from an ignorant point of view.
I kept up with Nav this year. I had a look at things that were going on, but not in the areas you'd want me to. Jesus Christ, Phil says Lee owns part of Burns guitars now as well.
That's a cool heritage brand, to be fair.
It is, but on the other hand,
who's buying them?
I see that as relatively problematic because Lee and Anderson are big enough that if he starts buying guitar brands, then he goes from being a cool small music shop to having some sort of legitimate market share in the country. You know what I mean?
If he bought Fender, Charvel, maybe. Burns? I don't see 200 bands coming out a year going, we're now endorsed by Burns, that's all we play. So, while I agree with the sentiment, I don't think it's quite as bad as, like, for example, Uli Behringer buying everything.
Yeah, good point, actually.
I think that the scope's maybe the concern at that point.
Scott said the new Jeff Beck Aussie tune is awful. Not heard it, have no interest.
I can't think of a crossover that I didn't want more.
As far as I'm concerned, Aussie died. I've already grieved for my loss. So.
Is that when you didn't get to go to the concert? You didn't have tickets, didn't you not?
No, I didn't get tickets because I never believed those shows were going to happen.
Yeah, and they didn't.
Again.
They still haven't. They won't. Those will die.
They won't cancel. Yeah.
And
he was in the news recently because Sharon Osbourne said Ozzy's going in for an operation soon, and the outcome of the operation will dictate how Ozzy's going to live the rest of his life. So that's not the sort of thing that you hear and you go, oh,
she's finally getting him lobotomised.
Oh, he'll be fine.
People are really of the opinion that she's worked him to the bone. Do you think he is controlled by her, or do you think he's working of his own volition?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Think so? Fair enough. I kind of wasn't sure.
Riddled. I don't want to say riddled with dementia because it's not riddled with dementia. The man's not all there. The man does make business decisions.
He's not been there for a long time, but he still performs pretty well. And I think a lot of him not being there is probably down to the fact that he did so many stupid things and so much fucking drugs. Just saying. I don't think that means that anybody has better agency over or control over him, or that Sharon's allowed to throw it.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Don't do drugs. And that comes to me, the guy who's never done drugs. Never.
Yeah, so I have no interest in seeing anything else he does ever again. Ordinary Man was so fucking ironic that it was called Ordinary Man, the album, because it was as ordinary as it fucking gets. Drew Peacock has an interesting question here.
And a great name.
Drew, did you know this show is brought to you by our friends over at Ormsby Guitars? Head on over to Ormsby Guitars and check out their fantastic range of instruments. As you know, I have a Goliath and more recently picked up the Rusty Cooley signature model, which you can see in the back of most of my videos. I love the guitars that Ormsby make, and I love more. You know what I love more than the Ormsby guitars? I love Perry Ormsby.
Yeah.
I love a hustler. I love a self-made man. You know what I mean? I love an entrepreneur. I love somebody that's going to build a business. So Perry, you're awesome. Go check out Ormsby does.
Couldn't agree more. And without saying too much, like I think Perry is. On top of all of that, considering there's been the professional relationship side, obviously being endorsed and then sponsoring the podcast, recent events really reinforced to me that there are still good people out there.
Yeah.
As much as I'll say.
Also, this show is brought to you by our friends over at Rev Amplification. Now, Rev are Tip Top Boys. Beyond Tip Top Boys, Derek from Rev reached out to me recently, and there's no NDA for this one, so I don't. And it's past the point now, so I can say it. He told me that the Sean Tubbs signature pedal, the tilt was coming out, and he wanted to send me one for me to check out to see what I thought of it, which is ideal for me because we think of Rev as being a relatively high gain amplifier company, and sure, they make some incredible high gain stuff. But the reality is, like a G3 and a G4, it's pedal-wise, they're not as practical for me in the way that I play and what I'm actually playing. Whereas Sean Tubbs is one of the pinnacle of guitar players for me. I don't subscribe to many guitar players on YouTube, but I do subscribe to Sean Tubbs because I think his playing is fantastic. And because I play in a soul band, an overdrive pedal is absolutely fucking ideal for me. So I couldn't wait for them to send me that. It's on my pedal board. I absolutely love it. It's a great pedal. I do have one complaint about it, and I know you're not supposed to make complaints about things when you're saying you should check stuff out, right? But
no, you're allowed to be critical if it's a legitimate criticism and a constructive criticism. You're not saying it's fucking amazing, but it's shite.
Well, so here's the thing, right? This isn't a fault of the pedal at all. It's the situation that I'm using the pedal, right? So it has the switches on it are momentary switches, so they're very, very easy to press. And for the most part, I absolutely want that. That's absolutely what I want. Because sometimes you've got to stand on a pedal and you don't put enough pressure on it, it doesn't click on, and that's annoying. It's on my pedal board next to my rotary pedal, and sometimes when I have my rotary pedal on and I stand on the ramp speed to increase the ramp speed, my foot will clip the overdrive pedal and I'll turn on the overdrive pedal as well. So
is that what happened on Saturday? Was that a different pedal?
That's what happened.
Was it right? Because I remember you saying, I kicked on the overdrive there and didn't mean to.
I didn't even notice. I played the whole chorus on Ain't No Mountain High Enough with the overdrive on. Didn't notice. So.
I think the thing you're not going to notice, or why it was easy not to notice, is the overdrive on that's fairly transparent.
Yes.
Probably more of a clean breakup than a balls to the wall 20 freaking tons of gain.
So please do check out our friends out at Ultimate Guitars and Rev Amplification, because they're absolutely awesome. Phil asked what rotary pedal are you running. I'm using the Fender Pinwheel. It's fantastic, it really is. It's become my main pedal. Did you notice how much I use that on the gig? Could you hear me all that well?
As soon as you started playing it when we were like setting levels, I was like that guitar sound in general is just fucking chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Because we're in that setting where it's a 4-piece and my guitar has to fill out a lot of the sound. Having just a regular clean guitar sound, I felt it sounded a little bit empty. So when I have the rotary pedal on the slow speed, it just makes your guitar sound a little bit more alive and helps to...
It's almost like that kind of two guitars chorus effect,
yeah.
but not quite as much as it being doubled up.
Yeah, but then because it has the ramp switch, I have the option to press that on, and then it really makes the guitar come alive because it does the spinning rotary speed fast thing. And I use that when I want to imitate like the organ thing I do on the start of like something's got a hold of me or whatever, because I want that like, oh, is that an organ type thing? So I absolutely love that. It's a really good film. Right, look, yeah, Drew enjoyed that. Mike is a drunk monster. Yep, this car has so many cans of Monster in it, it's outrageous.
I've still got one can that's been sitting in the sun that I haven't drunk yet because I feel that like it's expanded.
Jesus.
Aye.
Mike said, Scott said, I played Mike's guitar, now I want an Optimi.
Yes, Scott, let's get you hooked up.
Adam says, lads, I'm at work and can only listen for a wee bit, so fucking happy that you guys are back rocking cock. Okay.
I rock my cock all the time. Thanks very much, Adam. Thanks for tuning in, mate.
Johnny, bit off topic, but is the Fryette Power Station a good solution to a guitar amp without an effects loop? Cheers, guys.
Oh!
I don't like commenting on stuff like that if I haven't personally used the gear, so I couldn't honestly tell.
In place of an effects loop? Or do you mean as in like for putting, just to clarify because I'm not sure, do you mean as in just using that primarily as your power amp with a preamp through it? Or in place of having an effects loop on an amp so you can switch that on and that acts like an external effects loop? You know, like the switcher pedals sometimes do?
Phil asked what junction are we at?
I have not a clue where we are, to be honest. Okay. Going past.
There's a junction for Chester. Oh, there's police there. They're watching us.
It's alright, we're not going fast enough. I don't speed. I don't road rage. I don't drive funny. I don't sit on people's arses. I don't brake too late. It's just saying the one that we're pulling off of, which is 21A.
21A.
For Liverpool and Warrington.
Yeah,
we're on the M6 if that helps any.
Boss RT20. Andy Torrance. Damn it, how did I miss the start of this?
Hi Andy, you've not missed much, mate, you're good.
It's my fault, Andy, like, because I'm streaming directly from my phone, I can't then go on Facebook and share this stream. So people have just had to find it. The Boss TAE is a better option. It's actually built with that in mind, and it's MIDI.
TAE is a really good bit of equipment, but I think the price between that and the Fryette are like monumental. Also, as far as I know, the Fryette is not solid state, it's valve.
Right.
So that's another thing to consider. The TAE is more like a...
Johnny, sorry, he's not wearing it. He says in place of the loop, the amp I'm thinking of buying has no loop. The Fryette has a built-in loop.
Right. In place of the amp?
I'm going to say something, right? If the amp that you're buying doesn't have a built-in effects loop, and you need a built-in effects loop, why are you buying the amp? If it's that big a deal, buy an amp with an effects loop, or learn to use your amp without the effects loop.
I'm going to go completely other side of it. Find someone who will mod the amp for you to put an effects loop in, because it's probably not that difficult. Says me that has absolutely no electronic engineering experience or knowledge.
Craig said, have we not taken the M6?
I'll be honest, as I said to Levi,
M6.
my geography is fucking rotten. I'm just on the motorway. My sat-nav's telling me when to turn. Off we go.
Phil says, lads, motorway food, T-Bay services.
Oh, Phil, why would you recommend the Tory services, mate? Why go to the farm shop? I do actually, the burgers there. T-Bay. I love T-Bay as well, but it's too expensive. The burgers there, when they've got the burger van open at the side of, I think that's southbound, like £5 odd, but probably some of the best burgers I've ever eaten.
Andy says, you've been missed. Mike's voice seems to be foreplay for the missus.
Hi, Kim. Love you.
Hello.
I'm not going to do a deep voice because I can't do one. I've learned to accept that I have quite a high voice.
Craig's come out with the number one Guitar Souls catchphrase.
Fuck the Tories.
Exactly.
I mean, now's a better time than ever to be hitting it with fuck the Tories, because think about what's going on at the moment. The political party that had the tenacity, the audacity to constantly say the left are infighting and crumbling is now falling apart because they're all scrambling off the sinking ship and trying to catch as much cheese as they can get.
But it's okay, guys, because Rishi Sunak has said that he's gonna. We need to put him in power because he'll fix the economy. Motherfucker, you were the fucking Chancellor of the Exchequer. It was your job. You've done that for the last 2 years.
You had one job.
The economy is in the state it's in because of you, and now you're promising to fix it. What the fuck?
I will correct my wrongs, but we'll blame Boris.
Outrageous. Andy says, had eyeballs on an EVH 50-watt 5150 Mark III, 650 pounds. Thoughts?
Seems alright to me, man. Is that the Fender one, the white ivory Tolex? Pretty sure that's a 5150 Mark III.
John Love comes back. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
No, you're good.
Good point, guys. Means to be the thanks, Lou. Just heard great things about this amp. It's a car slant V6. It's car C8RR slant V6.
I think those are hand wired.
Yeah.
So I would say if they've looked at a facelift, it's probably because they're meant to be more of like a pedal platform, if not a completely clean. You know, like you had the Dr. K?
Dr. Z.
Dr. Z.
12.
That kind of idea. I think that one did an effects loop, but you know what I mean?
No, it didn't.
Did they not?
So,
okay.
Here's the thing, Johnny, that I'll say, right? So I'm currently gigging without an effects loop. And I don't mind. I don't miss it. But of course, the reason I don't miss it is because I'm not using the amp for shit tons of preamp game. You know, if I'm using overdrive, I'm kicking on an overdrive pedal to get that, and therefore any modulation effects I have come after my overdrive, and therefore it works the way you want it to. So
you can get around not having an effects loop if you're willing to spend the time and effort getting your board the way you want it.
Phil says between that and we're pretty fucked.
We are fucked. Let's be honest.
Adam says, just found out my shiny guitar is a very rare made in Japan Strat. Only bought as a fuck about guitar, I see, to play functions. So do I gig it or get the new bit on the side? Fuck the story is right up there, my box.
So I'm assuming if it's an expensive Jap one, it's probably like that Silver Series E serial or whatever, because those seem to be going up crazy.
It's an easy answer, mate. It's an easy answer. Fucking play it.
I knew the answer.
Play it. Ooh. Fucking play it.
What is it with all the accidents we are seeing today, Levi? I mean, that must be the 5th one on the way home.
So this was wild, guys. When we were coming out of Shepton Mallet.
Oh my god, that is a bad one.
There
Look.
We're looking at it.
2 lorries that have jackknifed in. Oh my god!
Oh my fucking god.
He's dead.
Yeah, that's a dead person there.
Sorry, we just witnessed 2 lorries, one where literally the full driver's crab was
not there anymore.
In the back of another lorry.
Yeah, we were coming out of Shepton Mallet. We drove past one car accident and not a head-on collision, and not 100 metres up the road there was another one.
Which was bad.
People driving like maniacs. Guys, I would say turn around. That's not an option for you. You're going to be there a long fucking time. That's we did.
We have, on the grand scheme of things, touch wood in case it happens further up. Obviously, the way I would love for my touching wood to mean that everybody gets home safe tonight in good time.
Yep.
We avoided quite a few hold-ups in that regard.
Yeah.
But genuinely, 2 on the same bit of road, and then 1 at a very narrow set of traffic lights on a heavy traffic crossroads, like a 4-way lights and stuff, just outside of Bristol, and then that one.
Fucking son. Yeah. So on the note of that guitar,
play fuck out it.
Yeah. Play fuck out of it, mate. Play fuck out of it. I would never want anyone to be that person that buys a beautiful, special musical instrument just to put it in a case and hide somewhere. Like, play it, and every single little bit of damage that goes on that guitar, don't look at it as lost revenue. Don't look at that as like, oh, the guitar's worth less now. It's not. It's worth more to you, because it might lose some retail value or some resale value, but it gains sentimental value. Though you cannot be an instrument that you have played for 10, 15, 20 years and every little thing that you put on it is yours. It's your story. But
I'm kind of getting that way with my guitars. Like, I don't like them to get dings and stuff, but see, when it happens, fuck it, it's a story. It's going to happen. I would say I feel the same way about my car, but all the things that have happened on my car recently have been Nancy.
Yeah, that's some serious fucking damage.
No, it's not quite written off.
No.
Cosmetically, it's a pain in the ass.
It's horrendous.
It's a full new wing. Anyway, we're getting off track. The other thing you could maybe do, this is just me, I mean, if you got the guitar as a fuck about and you love the guitar and it plays good, by all means, fucking keep it. See if you're not all that arsed about it and you think maybe there's more actual monetary than sentimental value, sell it and buy something else that you will kick fuck out of.
Yeah, he was talking about getting a different beat that you can beat around, but then if you're doing that to keep that guitar, so you can go, it's going to pull out, Jesus Christ. Why do people drive like maniacs?
England.
Yeah.
I think it's because they're in such an inconspicuous and small vehicle.
Yeah.
Nobody ever sees an extra long wheelbase, tall roof, white Mercedes Sprinter or Ford Transit, whatever we're driving, with the Enterprise, a bright green and black logo on the front. Just, we're impossible. Stealth vehicle.
Neighbour Jackson said Joe Bonamassa will buy it from you. It's possible. It's entirely possible.
Every chance that man's going to come and steal everything. Maybe he'll buy Lee Anderton.
It's going to be the other way around, mate.
Nah.
Lee Anderton announced that he owns part of Joe Bonamassa. No. So I talked about the outro, didn't I? And I said I kept up with it.
Yeah.
I did. I never finished it. Not in the way that you guys would think or would like. There was one company that I was really looking forward to following at NAMM, and that's Viscount. Viscount make organs. They do organs.
This is when he goes on this fucking mad organ rant, and you don't want to listen to him.
It's not an organ rant. And what I was excited about is they're launching they were launching 2 new speakers this year, the Spin Tones and the Vortex, and these were new, the Vortex in these is a fully mechanical Leslie type speaker, and
Rotary.
Yeah, a rotary speaker. So the reason I was excited by that is because I was looking forward to, I wanted to buy one because I really like, I use my rotary pedal.
And you've got your Viscount, which you love.
So I mean for guitar.
No, but I mean even having something by that brand you know is good and works and sounds great.
Yeah.
That's a pat in the back in terms of reliability, accountability for buying these things.
But I ended up just being annoyed by it. And the reason I'm annoyed by it is because they showed off this stuff. They're like, here's our new Viscount Legend Soul organ, and here's the speaker, and yeah, this is what they sound like. That was it. There was no
Pricing of that.
This is the price. This is when you'll be able to buy them. So I'm none the fucking wiser. None the wiser. Thanks for that, Viscount. I was going to buy your speaker, but instead I bought an actual Leslie. So
you done goofed.
In other news, the lads are driving the Joe Bonamassa signature Mercedes Sprinter. It's the same as any other, but 25% more expensive.
There's a slow van coming! Could have picked the worst day for my voice to go up. Oh well. Shite joke. Shite part, shite singing. Only
us.
apt.
That's us.
Aye, true. Shite cunts.
So come on guys, give us more things to talk about, or I'll head off.
You've got us captive for 3.5 hours if you can find shit you want us to talk about.
I mean, my phone will explode or run out of data, I'm sure.
Probably.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else interesting been going on or been happening in terms of guitar for me, but yeah, no, it was that new pedal. It was the Rev tilt pedal. And just playing my Telecaster. Here's a good question. Drew Peacock says, have you tried a Cornford MK50? Absolutely. Absolutely played Cornford MK50s. I was really, really into the Cornford amps when I lived in London. In fact, I played a Hellcat. In fact, the band's name I played, my band, was Hellcat Molly. And we were called Hellcat Molly. As a portmanteau. Well, portmanteau is when you ram 2 words together. They're not, I guess, technically not rammed together in this case. But Hellcat, I played Cornford Hellcat, and Dave, our singer, we recorded a lot of the EP on his Fender Telecaster, which was called Molly, and he'd written Molly on the back of the headstock. So that's where Hellcat Molly came from. So I missed that album, that call for Hellcat. It was a great fucking album.
I can imagine.
Really good album. The MK50 was great, really, really great, but for me, the Hellcat was just that little bit more of an aggressive album, would be the way I would describe it.
And kind of comes with the name, doesn't it? Hellcat.
Craig says Jamie's Guthrie's or Dave Casey. You would imagine that playing in Wolverhampton would be one of those guys. They were quite popular in London at the time, though. Like everyone was getting their hands on the Wolverhampton.
Was that right about the same time you had the Guthrie signature, though?
It was before.
Before?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Hellcat, I got the Hellcat before Hellcat Molly started, which is where the name came from. And I got the Guthrie signature later. We went to Birmingham to record the EP that we released. And I was having the Sur delivered to Birmingham, but it got caught in customs and turned up on the day we finished to go back to London. So I didn't get to use it to record on. But I do have the pictures of me in the studio with it from that glorious day.
that single day that I got to listen to the album back.
I keep thinking of buying that guitar back.
Who's got it?
Mark Palmer.
I don't know, Mark. Did you say Martin? Sorry, Mark.
Martin Palmer.
Martin.
Palmer, yeah.
Why don't you?
Because I don't need more guitars. I need fewer guitars.
You don't need more instruments in general, but you've just went and bought a Hammond.
Do I know why Cornford folded? I'm trying to think if that's information that's anything I have concrete info on, or if it's speculation. Yeah, but I know they had a lot of problems with things like theft and a factory fire at one point.
Oh, that doesn't sound like good circumstances all round.
But it's really hard to say, isn't it? Like, when you think of Cornford's, Paul Cornford's company, his son, if memory serves me right, his son was making some pretty questionable decisions. But the MK50 was Martin Kidd's amp design, and then Martin Kidd went off and did the Victory stuff, which I was really optimistic about. Actually, I was really optimistic about playing the Victory stuff.
I've heard the Victory stuff's great, but I've never tried it.
Yeah, I liked Martin Kidd's designs. I thought he designed great amps. So the idea of playing a Victory really, really appealed to me. But I had to draw a line in the sand when
Rob Chapman's involved.
They launched with a Rob Chapman signature, the Silverback, which is incredible when you think about the knuckle dragger that it was made for. Hey guys, buy my signature guitars. They're £300. Also, buy my signature amp. It's £4,000. Like, come on, that's desperation right there.
I also think if you're going to have a signature amp, you should probably have good tone.
I remember when Rob was approaching, was it Lick Library or Guitar Interactive magazine, one of the two. He desperately wanted featured, desperately wanted to work with us, and he kept banging on and on and on about, you know, oh, I work with Marshall, like I'm a Marshall guy, I work with Marshall, and he wasn't, like we were really, really close with the guys at Marshall and everyone involved over there, and we asked them, we asked the guy that was in charge of all that side of things, and he was like, yeah, no, we've done a few things with Rob in the past, but he's not affiliated with us.
He won't leave us alone.
Yeah, like, that's sad, man. That's really sad. Right, I'm going to keep. So that was the call folded.
Another queue.
Oh, we're stuck in a queue. Yay! It doesn't look bad on that. It's only as far as that, isn't it?
It doesn't look bad in the sat nav.
Sure.
I mean, it's only a mile, it's not that terrible.
Sure.
Maybe not, actually. It looks like it's like everybody's coming off the motorway. It looks like there's a lane closure.
Okay.
It looks like another accident. Like there's lights and everything on.
Right, let me read this. Catch me, where the fuck have you guys been? Sorry, late to chat. Thought mine was dead. Not on socials. You'll have to watch back to get where we've been. Cornford crashed before this. Paul Cornford's a massive alcoholic. People gone. How about Elvis impersonators in Vegas not being able to do weddings anymore because of the licensing company telling them they couldn't after being a Vegas staple for years? I mean, that's a tricky one. I think, Joel, America, rightly or wrongly, has name and likeness laws in place that you can. I kind of err on the side of rightly. I think your image and your identity is a part of your brand and it has value, and I don't know how I feel about someone else being able to profit off of my brand.
If Elvis was alive and making that choice, fair enough.
No, but look, throw Elvis aside, like just in Just full stop. Like,
But I just mean like in that terms of posthumous. I think there's got to be like a shelf life limitation on you can't use a likeness. And
if it devalues the, like, someone owns, still, as crazy as a concept it is, even though Elvis is dead,
someone owns the brand,
owns the concept of that image and that likeness.
Yep.
And if you're of the opinion that the wedding industry in Vegas might in some way harm your brand, harm the thing that you own, then I don't know how I don't know if I can take massive issue with doing something about that. Look bad?
It seems to be up to this junction and round the roundabout, and then there's a bit of traffic, but then it clears.
Okay.
I just can't be able to sit in traffic. Like,
I know.
We've done well to negate this drive being literally a full day, even though it has been, and it seems to be all these wee things are like just adding on.
Andy Torrance says, thoughts on the new Abassi from Music Man? I think it looks hideous, but it's getting rave, paid, reviews. It plays into everything that I have said consistently about Abassi guitars, right? Why would you be releasing something with Music Man if the thing that you're making, the thing that you've been working on for so long, is the big special one? You can't have both. You can't have both. Hey guys, I make these guitars. I make Chapman guitars, but I also have a signature Fender. You should buy that. Like, which is it? Which is it? Which is a good one? That boy, and I'm going to go with boy at this point, will just follow the money, and if the price is right, he will just put his name on absolutely anything. So no, thank you, not for me.
I wonder if it was maybe, and this is me definitely speculating, if it was maybe part and parcel of some sort of deal he's trying to make with whoever at Music Man, or to get an entry into where Music Man are building their guitars. Maybe I need to get a signature with him so they make some revenue off of me before they let me build my Abassi guitars in their factories. Because, like it or not, Music Man have really good standards to building guitars. You need to give them that. Everyone I've played, might not be the guitar for me, certainly a well-manufactured instrument. I think of them not the same as, but in the same kind of realm as VGA in terms of...
Oh, we can talk about VGA.
We can, but in terms of, you know what I mean, like the build quality, the attention to detail, the real... We want this to be engineered, it's not just a guitar.
So...
I wonder.
Scott says, real question, does NAMM come back at full steam anytime soon? No,
nah.
NAMM's over, mate, NAMM's over.
NAMM dead.
Not happening. I said it consistently, the same thing that happened with... same thing that's happening with things like E3, just the idea of national, international conventions, then they're not a thing. Like, you're obviously affiliated with companies like Boss. Boss don't need to go to NAMM. They're big. They're so big that when they've got a new product, they don't need to wait till January to tell everybody about it. They can just put it up on their website and reach more people with their website than would go to the NAMM show. So why bother? Like, why bother? And especially, why bother paying NAMM for that privilege? Like, they built up this brand. Boss are a bigger brand than NAMM, you know?
And they always will be, though, because they're essentially the fucking first name you think about when you think of guitars and effects.
Yeah.
Or guitar effects, at least.
Phil Cross says, I wanted a bad cat until Chapman was affiliated with them. Here's a question then. What do you think of Richie Cotton's beef with Lick Library for them about the release of DVD and play? Yeah, so that's a really good one, and I can actually throw a lot of inside information on that one. Drew. So the reason I said rightly or wrongly about the concept of name and likeness laws is, and this is going to sound inherently anti-American, but Americans are really, really, really good at thinking that they are the center of the universe and that America is the only country in the world and that no other countries exist. The Lick Library product was legit. It was above board. It was legal because our laws regarding name and likeness things aren't the same in the UK. They're simply not the same. And for Richie to have an issue with somebody teaching licks in the style of Richie Kotzen, you'd also have to have an issue with magazines teaching licks in the style of Richie Kotzen. But no one does, because that's just the way it's done. That's the way it's always been done. And magazines teach you things in the style of artists because they would have to license the actual songs to teach you the actual songs. So when you do things in the style of, that's a different thing. So when Jamie wrote the Quick Licks Richie Kotzen thing, he wrote a track in the style of Richie Kotzen. And he played licks on it in the style of Richie Kotzen. It wasn't a Richie Kotzen product, but it was very much in the style of Richie Kotzen. there's no reason to license that in the UK because we don't have the same name and likeness protections in place. But Ritchie, and that DVD, here's a key factor, that DVD wasn't available in America. You couldn't buy that in America. It's a UK product, and you'll see that with a lot of Lick Library stuff. The Lick Library, that's why we have region protected on DVDs, right? Because some things that are legal here aren't necessarily legal everywhere. That's very much the case with that one. Having said that, if I was in Richie Kotzon's position, would I have taken issue with it? Probably, to be fair. But then, of course, what's the solution to that? Like, why are you annoyed that someone's teaching good quality video instructional stuff in your style? Why has that annoyed you so much? Why not just put them out of business by releasing a better product? Like, that's capitalism at work right there.
There's not in the style of if it's Richie Kotzon's. Learn Richie Kotzon's licks from Richie Kotzon.
Yeah, if you put that product out, the Lick Library product is no longer a problem because it will get 0 sales. Like, who wants Jamie Humphries to teach them Richie Kotzon's licks when they can buy Richie Kotzon teaching them Richie Kotzon's licks? So that's my thought.
It's a bit an interesting one though, isn't it? Like, and especially when you think that the rock and roll thing would be to really be taken aback at the fact that someone wants to pay homage to you in that regard. Like, I've made it, like, I've cemented my place in music history. People want to sound like me.
And I mean, you know, we were talking about the Elvis thing. Like, the problem with this as an entire concept is copyright's a really complicated thing, a really complicated subject, because when we talk about the Elvis thing, name and likeness and the protection in that sense, when you buy an Elvis package wedding thing, like, you're doing that because of the brand that Elvis owns. And I'm not going to pretend for a second that when you buy a Richie Kotzon style licks product thing, we buy a magazine because Richie Kotzon's on the cover, and in there, Sam Bell writes some licks in the style of Richie Kotzon. Like, it is their brand that has sold that product, and there is definitely something chewy in that. But it kind of just is the way it is. Like, would I reform it? Would I change it? Absolutely. Yeah. And I say that as someone that's currently working on a book of 60s guitarists where I talk about 60s guitarists. Do I think that should be legally allowed? It's such a tricky one. It really is such a tricky one. Like, Hank Marvin doesn't have any instructional products, so I feel like I'm doing a service by taking the time to analyze his style and show you some licks in the style of his, and, you know, talk about how they work and try and get in his head and, you know, all that stuff. So,
I think it helps to have the context in that as well, though. You're not just like, here's some easy licks that I've transcribed as a cash grab. You're trying to get inside the head of that player, and
and Craig pointed out that Jamie and Richie are good friends, and that was why it was such a sore one, because Richie took issue with Jamie doing it, and it's like, well, who better to do it? You're friends. You've been friends for years, and it's above. I keep saying it. It's above board. It's just above board. But then, okay, so here's, I guess, the kicker. That product still exists. It's just not called Quick Licks Richie Kotzon. It's just not in the style of Richie Kotzon. The product still exists, and that's less desirable for the person making the product because it's less marketable, because you're not marketing it based on someone else's name being on it, someone else's image, someone else's brand. And I feel that's the way it should be. You know, if your product is more valuable because you put Richie Kotzon's name on it, and it's more valuable because it's got Richie Kotzon's image on it, and you're selling the promise of teaching things in his style, then I do feel that should be the artist should be kind of compensated for that.
To some degree, yeah, there should be some, even like a bit of royalties somewhere.
Yeah, but that's unfortunately something that Richie. It doesn't matter how much Richie screams about that. It's got fuck all to do with someone who lives in the US. Like, it's something that needs to change in UK law.
The only way that would work is if they decided to pay him money, as literally just as a gesture of goodwill. Like, we've got a good relationship with you. Like, Jamie does blah blah blah. Like, here we go. It's very interesting when you get these kind of cross-country concerns, isn't it?
We're here all night now, aren't we?
I think so, man. I think the motorway's been shut. They heard you and I were live podcasting, and they're just like, nope, not having it. I actually think what's probably happened is there's been another accident. Yeah, I know it's auto start-stop because we're sitting still on the motorway. Thanks, dashboard.
So I'll keep reading comments.
Yeah.
You
guys are going to witness us getting flattened by 2 lorries that fly behind us, probably. Oh, that guy's away for a pee. Good on him.
Don't blame him. Phil Cross, Misha Mansour signature PlayStation to come. Andy says Abbasi's anal beads. Scott says I agree 100%. I was more curious to see what you guys thought about Boss, Fender, Gibson, Boogie. None of those guys need to go to that show. Exactly, like they just don't need to. Sur haven't gone to the show for years because they just have no need to, and Sur are nowhere near as big as Fender.
Even take a step back, it's no longer a trade show. It's a social event. It's networking. And when I say networking, what I mean is people who are in bands, maybe the size of Party Cannon, a little bigger, a little smaller, trying to get stuff from brands, and brands trying to get people on board.
Yeah.
Not that I think there's anything wrong with that, but it's not really what NAMM's about.
Yeah. Levi clay products are available in the UK. They are, yeah.
Sadly.
You're welcome, Drew.
Don't buy any.
Scott says it's kind of the Rick Beato argument, isn't it? Yeah, and I've consistently just had to disagree with Rick on that one, because, you know, when Rick teaches you or plays Elton John's music and tells you about it and tells you why it's cool, like, you're clicking on that video because of Elton John. And it doesn't matter how much Rick says, yeah, but I'm introducing his music to new people. Like, that's Elton John's decision to make, whether or not he wants to. Because let me be super clear on this. I'm not saying that Rick Beato is a sex offender. He's not. But for argument's sake, let's say there's a content creator who's a convicted sex offender, and they decide, you know what, I'm gonna in my new life, I'm gonna devote my channel to talking about Elton John. Elton John should be in a position, I believe, where he's like, I don't want my brand affiliated with what it is that you're doing. And obviously, as I say, Rick is a sex offender, but
quite an extreme example, but I get it illustrates the point.
Mega extreme, yeah, reductive ad absurdum. But I think that if you look at what Rick's doing, you go, well, hang on, you've got this Beato book that you're selling, and you make a lot of money selling that book, and it seems that you make these videos, these educational videos, not with the sole goal of telling people about my music and telling them how awesome I am, but so you can get loads and loads of views and then sell them your book. And I don't feel happy with you essentially garnering clicks off of my brand and off of my name and off of my music and all of this stuff, so you're able to sell something. I think that's a perfectly valid argument for a record label or a publisher or an artist to make, and Rick disagrees. Only one of us has got a horse in the race, so I feel there might be some sort of bias for Rick to disagree with me on that one. You know what I mean?
Somewhat,
because I'm honest about it. Like when I'm doing my Brent Mason solos, like, they're not valuable because it's me teaching Brent Mason solos. They're valuable because these are Brent Mason solos.
Definitely,
that's the value there. I'm happy to admit it, and Rick doesn't seem to want to admit it. I don't get that. Just own it. Like,
yeah. But that's not to say there's no value in the work that you've put in. But I get what you're saying. At the end of the day, without that original piece of music or art, you're not doing anything. You couldn't do anything. You don't have any merit.
100 videos teaching you, 100 solos that I've written over country tracks. But guess what? No one would fucking click on them. So I'm using somebody else's brand in order to get some traction.
I think it helps as well. Like the example you're giving, I don't know how saturated the market is. I don't imagine there's a lot of guys out there trying to transcribe such and teach such difficult music without people making specific requests. Whereas you're like, I'm interested in this. I think people will be interested in this. I'm going to do it of my own volition.
Yeah, I guess for me, like the thing that's important is just owning it. Like, the thing with my Brent Mason solo is actually a lot more complicated than that, because it's not actually Brent. Brent doesn't own the music in those scenarios. It's owned by the publisher of whoever represents the artist who wrote the song, and it's owned by the record labels that release the songs. So Brent doesn't actually own any of those. But yeah, I'm happy to own it and say they're there because the value that someone else's brand provides. I'm not going to sit here and try and tell you that what I'm doing, those videos are legally sound just because they're educational. Like, they're not. They sit in this really ambiguous area of law, a real grey area of, like, how do we proceed, and we're just going to have to see how that one progresses over time. And what I'm seeing now is the lane next to us is moving a little bit.
We're not.
Mike's immediately going to try and get in that lane.
No, I'm not, because we're coming off here.
Oh, okay.
I'm just wondering why all those lanes are moving, we aren't. And I would really be quite angry if it ends up being that these lanes have been filtered in front of us. But I think it's actually that part of the motorway that's being closed, and there's a knock-on effect. People have tried to pull off, and it's gridlocked.
Right, let's keep going. Andy Torrance says, "What's in the van?" in the style of Brad Pitt from Seven. Stone Craig. I didn't say Rick is a nonce. I absolutely didn't say that. I mean,
Not directly.
What do I think about Rick getting a signature Gibson? Yeah, no, I'm kind of here for that. In fact, I think it's a really cool guitar. Really cool guitar.
As long as the headset doesn't fall off.
Yeah, Rick's an incredibly influential musician. There's no avoiding it. There's just simply no avoiding it. He's very important to the current climate of music.
Woo!
Yeah.
4 feet.
Is that banging off the?
Won't be anything serious.
No, of course not.
It's not banging. It's just touching the.
Yeah, but it's like a. What?
It might even be the two different bits of the bulkhead clanging together.
Sure. Yeah, so I think Rick getting that guitar is fine. It was a charity guitar, if I remember rightly. The proceeds of all of the orders were for charity as well. So.
I didn't see any, but that I've kind of negated anything to be like music news on YouTube.
I can't even really take any interest in it, unfortunately. But of course, I'm in a weird position with stuff like that because I play what I want to play. And if any company in the world approached me and said, we'd like to make a Levi Clay signature guitar, I'd say no thank you. So it really just, no, I'm just not interested. I play what I like, and I have guitars that I like, and sometimes I want to play this one, and sometimes I want to play this one. And yeah, the idea of being contractually obliged to play a certain guitar is not for me.
I think what you actually mean is, doesn't matter how many guitars I get that I absolutely love, I'm always going to play the Butterscotch Telly. Am I wrong?
I play the Brent Mason Telly a lot as well.
I'm sure you do, but you only just got that.
I'll play that on Saturday then. There you go.
No, you won't. It weighs a ton apparently.
It really fucking does. It was a conscious decision to not play at Girdwood's because we were playing 3 sets rather than 2 sets.
Oh, we're only playing 2 for the rest of the gigs?
Yeah, the Butterfly Big gigs are 2 sets.
245s?
245s.
Excellent.
Same money. Thanks for that. Do I have any spaces for one-to-one lessons, Levi? No, I don't, Drew. That's another thing that's actually changed quite significantly in the last couple of months since the Guitar Souls has slowed down. All of my lessons I take via Patreon now. It's the only way you can book private lessons with me. You have to get all of my slots on Patreon, and they're limited to 25 because I don't want to be teaching more than 25 people a month. Because I don't want to go back to that time where I was having to devote hours and hours a day to teaching people. I can never get anything else done, and I've got a lot that I want to get done. So I limit it to 25 people, and they're always all sold out. So if you want private lessons, the best thing you can do is you can check out my Patreon page. You can join up on the weekly guided practice routines tier, which is, to be honest, better value for money than private lessons. Most people don't need private lessons with me. But then you're in a position to be able to grab one of those spots as and when they do come available. So there you go.
I mean, you can't really say much fairer than that. You don't want to spend extra money on me. Just come and try this out and see how it works for you. Maybe you won't need to spend extra.
Yeah, you pay less than half the price and you get plenty of it. So, I think it's great value. Andy says, I think that there's value in some in the quality of the teacher. Definitely. Some teachers can play all the shit, but they're poor at breaking it down. Yeah, that's totally true. 2 DVDs of the same course, e.g. constant stuff. I try to pick the one that has the better teacher, so I take it better. There's elements of truth to that.
I think it's also subjective who's the better teacher. Some people have different learning styles.
Sure. Scott says, very interesting to see the number of YouTubers and influencers getting signature guitar models now. Again, it totally makes sense though, doesn't it, Scott, when you think about what we talked about with NAMM. Signature artists are the people that showcase your instrument to the most people. I would happily argue that let's think of a band. Let's think of a popular band. Who's a popular band, Mike?
Periphery.
Bad example. Bad example. A more old school band. About a band that. Let's go Iron Maiden.
I was just going to say Iron Maiden.
Yeah, let's go with Iron Maiden because they were Mike's first gigs. He'll tell us that story in a minute. This is going to sound ridiculous, right? But as it currently stands, I'm probably a slightly more. This is ridiculous, but I'm still saying it. There's an argument to be made that I would be a more appealing person to give a signature guitar to than guitar players in Iron Maiden. The reason I say that is because people who listen to Iron Maiden because they love Iron Maiden's music. And when Iron Maiden stand up on stage and they play music to you, they're there to play music to you. Whereas my audience is guitar players and only guitar players, and I have content like this where I talk to you about fucking guitars. Yeah, so if I have a signature guitar, I'm always playing it and always talking to you about it. It's only being shown to people who are interested in guitars. Whereas if you're just standing up on stage and playing in a band, yeah. Now I made a terrible example there, but generally speaking, if you go to companies and look for endorsements now, one of the first things that they're going to ask you is, you know,
what's
what
your
band
social
do you
media
play
process
with?
like?
But some of them are still old school. And they're like, what band do you play with, and what tours do you have coming up? And it's like that is a terrible metric of how good somebody is as a prospective, as a prospective endorsee.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you look at someone like Steve Terryberry, Stevie T, yeah, he's got a huge audience, and this is another interesting one.
Children?
Yeah, they're children. They're children. Like Stevie T has a Patreon, and it's a fraction the size of mine. What does that tell you? His YouTube channel is infinitely bigger than mine will ever be.
Somehow.
But my audience actually are willing to put their hands in their pocket and spend money. You know what I mean? Like, so I think from a business perspective, looking at social media influencers and that sort of shit, if I ran a company, I would absolutely be more interested in putting my instruments in the hands of
People who are going to give it exposure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
business.
And at the end of the day, that's all an endorsement is.
Yeah.
Look at the instrument I play. I really like it, and other people might want to play it and might want to buy one. If you've got an audience of 1 million people who are a captive audience that get updates from you every day and engage with you well, you're going to get that more than somebody that maybe plays in a band that tours fucking all the time, but doesn't convert into sales.
Phil says, how's Mel Levi still belting out those 45-second notes? She's struggling at the moment, mate. She lost her voice. We had 2 festivals last week, and she lost her voice a week before them. So she was running on fumes and barely managed to get through those shows. And her voice is she's still operating maybe at 60%. But yeah, no, she's getting there. Adam says, hey Levi, I've been working through your weekly guided practice routines, and they're great. Thanks very much, Adam. Yeah, last question. How the hell does Paul Davids manage to get over 2 million subscribers? I think he's very affable. I think he's got, a warm personality.
I don't know him.
He's a likable character. I think he's got a very warm and inviting voice. I think his presentation is great.
Is he for the Netherlands?
Well, yeah.
I have heard his stuff, and you're right. Just you mentioned his voice there, like, he's got a nice voice.
Yeah. His content is really well produced. Like, if you want to learn about guitar, I mean, he's not a bad player as well, which obviously helps. I think you factor all those things in, and it kind of makes sense that he's got a lot of subscribers. 2 million does seem like a bit of a push, because I can't get to 50,000.
This is a bit frustrating. We're stuck in traffic, and people are just pulling in front of us. Driving the right lane, and this won't happen. But you can wait, no chance.
Let's keep going. He'll just go further up, like.
Fuck him. Yeah. If that's what I want to do, I don't care.
Phil says this is true. If we do a signature, it'll be for someone who has visibility. Not that daft Mimi sounds though. Andy Torrance says I bought 4 Ormsby's because of Mike.
Thanks, mate.
Craig, he's a pure prick. I asked for your books for Christmas, and I call Mike because we care. I'm trying to think. Oh, you're talking about Paul Davids. Just shows how much everything's changed. And I think that's probably the most important thing, Scott. I think that being successful in business is, I don't want to necessarily say embracing all change, but it's making calculated, smart decisions based on the speculation of changes that you think are going to have major changes in the industry. And the companies, let's use Dean as an example, who didn't want to modernise their artist list. They're now in a position where they don't really have any artists, and that's going to really, really fucking hurt. That's going to really hurt. Meanwhile, you've got Fender, who are only interested in putting signature guitars. Sorry, not signature guitars. Who are only Mike's losing his mind over here.
I'm getting really fed up at the fact that we've sat here for nearly 40 minutes, and all these cunts that haven't waited are pushing in. We're moving forward fractions, and then my phone comes up and says congestion.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Honest?
Fender have been putting guitars in a certain demographic, shall we say, and they're only interested in putting guitars in those demographics. I actually did reach out to somebody at Fender to say I'd like to be on your books, not because I want to exclusively play Fender or anything, and I have plenty of Fender guitars, but because if in future I decide that I want to buy another guitar, it would be nice if I have somebody that I could reach out to. And I didn't hear back from them, so
So fuck them.
And I emailed their A&R person directly. So fuck them. Meanwhile, I forget her name, but the TikToker, she's the southern lady. She's a cooking person. She does a show called Stand By Your Pan.
Right.
She's a good singer. But she plays guitar. So like she's starting to appear in Fender promotional materials because of course she is. She's big on TikTok. So that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. You just have to do that. And if you go on Facebook and you see Fender ads, you're going to see Trixie Mattel with a Fender talking about her first Fender.
I don't know half of these people. I bet
the drag queen.
I think the big problem is that I don't really give a fuck about marketing in that regard. I don't pay enough attention to big brands.
That's a questionable one with the line of work that you're looking at going into.
You know what I mean, though? Like the bigger brands, I'm not asked about what Gibson are putting out or what Fender are putting out. Because we both know exactly what they actually mean. Buy our shit.
Drew says there's 2 reasons why Mimi Sounds would get a signature, and then it seems like he's put 2 emojis of 2 watermelon slices. Surprised. Andy says roll back to 40 minutes ago where Mike says he doesn't get road rage.
I never said that. Certainly not with honesty.
Phil says welcome to the M6. I do that run up near Seabay for my lad all the time. It's a nightmare.
I couldn't do this daily, man. I used to drive down to Manchester and back when I did the cash vans, or Newcastle and back, and that was bad enough. It's more so the fact that we've still got 200 miles to go. It's going to be a 1 AM landing, at best. All because of these selfish cunts that don't know how to drive in lanes. Wonderful.
But that's not the sole reason.
I would say the reason we've been sat here an extra half an hour is...
I feel that if that was the position you held, and I probably shouldn't say this because then you'll do it, you would have pulled out of this lane and just driven right up there and been like, I'm getting in there.
But then I'm being a hypocrite because all I'm doing is pushing into where I'm saying that there's no space to push in.
So, yeah. You look defeated, mate. You sound defeated.
The way I'm seeing it is we had made pretty good time. We were nearly on track for getting home at midnight, and it's now ETA 12:50. We've not even got to the junction. We have travelled 400 metres in what? 45 minutes?
As long as that, I don't think it's nearly as long as that.
It's not been good.
No, it's not good.
Anyway, we'll get through it.
Yeah, I wonder if Chapman's thumbs down this video yet.
Good, hopefully.
Scott says we all need to adapt to change all the time. That's what it is. That's why I'm talking about adapting to change, but then I talk about YouTubers and TikTokers and all of this stuff, and I talk about it from a perspective of what absolutely sounds like bitterness. There are elements of change that I accept and I embrace, but it doesn't mean that I necessarily say that they are. If I was the almighty emperor of all things music, they're not the changes that I put in place. You know, I think, yeah, it's not the way to do it. But what do I know?
I know who are we? Just 2 guitar solos.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything.
I know nothing.
I have to say, kazoo. My experience of buying my car by a kazoo was fantastic. They just drove it to my house in a fucking lorry like that, and then just drove it off the lorry, and it was very nice. Felt very like.
Not quite the positive experience you had selling your other car, eh?
No.
That's another story.
Andy says if I make some calls, you could pick up some gear for me from folks who won't deliver on eBay. We're men with Ven now. If anyone gets that reference, I'll love you forever. Men with Ven. Greg's talking about Newcastle's. You could drop off at mine. Cunts. Newcastle's the other side of the country, isn't it? We're coming up the west coast. You on the west?
No, if we're going to join onto the... I don't even know. I don't know. I just want to get him at this point.
Phil said local knowledge time. What services are you coming off at? Charnock Richard?
Probably not stop at any services.
As in now we're coming off.
Oh, this roundabout doesn't say. It says Junction 9.
Junction 9. Phil says let me be your sat nav.
Thanks, babe.
Craig McCulloch's pointed out that Keith Sutherland has a signature guitar.
He does. So does Steven Seagal.
Which is wild, actually. The Keith Sutherland's definitely wild. I can't imagine they sell.
They're still on the books.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just Gibson over the back for you.
Yeah.
Vanity projects and not supporting musicians.
Yeah.
Sick. Seeking the dick, mate. And this is quite annoying because we had made good time.
I mean, we hadn't made good time. Getting back at 12 o'clock was still pretty poor time. We think we were going to be back for 10.
You thought we were going back for 10 because you didn't actually tell me where we were going.
How no?
You said Bristol. It was past Bristol. It was an hour out of Bristol.
Is it an hour out?
Aye. When we were in Bristol City Centre earlier, it was like an hour and 10 on the sat-nav.
I think Mike's angry with me, guys.
I'm not angry with you. I'm angry with these circumstances. I feel as if this lorry driver is not moving forward and people are just pulling right in front of us. Yeah. Those lanes have completely cleared.
I feel that part of me wants to end this stream because exhaustion and struggling to talk about things. But I also think the only thing that's keeping Mike calm right now is the fact that there's a camera on.
Nah, if I was going to go mental, I'd go mental. But there's nothing to go mental at. There's not people's fault there's traffic. I mean, it is, but at the same time, it's not.
It's someone's fault. Someone had an accident.
Well, we're just going to punch fuck out a corpse then. On. I don't care that you've ended up flipping your motor 6 times. It's your fault.
Would you like a cookie?
I'll take a cookie. Thanks.
Have a cookie.
Thank you, bro.
Okay, I think I might turn the stream off then.
You calling it?
Fingers are slowing down and we're just sitting there eating cookies.
Decent. Well, I'll put this out to everybody that's still listening. What's the best bit of gear you've bought in the last couple of months? The best thing that's changed? Either how you're playing, or your tone, or how comfortable you are on stage, or how your studio sounds. Because the best thing I've bought recently was a Line 6 G30 relay wireless kit. I've only used it for one gig, which was a Tech Fest, and it was fucking great. I had a wireless kit before, but I've never had a digital one. And the freedom's ridiculous, man. Especially when you've got something that like connects right away, there's no interference, and it sounds great, and you've got a good range to it.
I actually need to buy a wireless mic. Because our residency doing a Riding Ring on Monday and Wednesday, they have a wireless mic there, and it is fucking garbage. And the problem is they let all the queens just use the desk and use all the gear when there's no sound man in. So these things just get battered. This mic was new like 4 months ago.
Yeah, it's probably
now it's
just
constantly cutting out, and it's just so unbelievably unreliable. And it pisses me right off that I'm going to need to spend hundreds of pounds on a microphone to help them. Because we could do the gig on a wired mic, but the show is better when Mel can walk out into the audience and go to people's tables and talk to them and have them sing. I'm going to need to buy that microphone because I can't deal with the embarrassment of the microphone constantly fucking cutting out. So, I need to buy a wireless mic.
It's a pain in the ass, isn't it?
Make a pain in the ass. Fred, you did miss the new gear reveal. It's in the back of the van currently, so yeah. Right, guys. I'm gonna call it there because we're gonna go for 2 hours.
Nice. Thanks very much for joining us, Trips. I know it was a bit of an impromptu one, but Monday night Guitar Geek Club is forever.
Just not every Monday.
Just not every Monday. But you know that it lives on in the spirit of every Monday. Every Monday you know what's supposed to be happening in your heart.
It lives on in the spirits that you drink.
Which aren't many these days.